Hey church family, Pastor Scotty here, and just wanted to get on here and introduce a video that's really just a clip of our live stream from this past Sunday where I introduce our big initiatives for this year. This year we have 2 Sacrifice Sundays, one to do a lot of remodeling in our main building, which you'll hear about, and one to completely renovate our nursery facilities. And then we went on to some future ideas and some things that we're not sure on the timing of. But these are exciting times. These are exciting things that God could do almost immediately, really, as God grows our church. So I encourage you to watch this entire video to catch the heart of this year's vision that God is able. And I also am going to put out the pictures of all the renderings that we have of our future expansion ideas. I'm actually standing in the Family Life Center, and it's exciting that about where I'm standing could be the future worship space for our entire ministry on Sunday morning. So watch this video. If you feel led to give, you can go to our website at abcarlington.com, but certainly be saving up for these Sacrifice Sundays and get excited and be praying about the future expansion of our Family Life Center.
Here's the big plan for this year as far as initiatives go. We can go to the next slide there. What we want to do as a church, we want to have 2 Sacrifice Sundays as we believe that God is able this year. We still have the goal in our church of completely remodeling this building. That needs to be done to be a good example to people that walk in. We want to be a good testimony in everything we do. In one area that I believe that we're not as good of a testimony as we could be is if you walk in our main lobbies, we need some new flooring out there. And so we've gotten quotes. It's going to cost about $35,000 to get new flooring in all of the lobbies, all of the restrooms, in the kitchen, in the nursery, and in the beginner's class. We want to do a glue-down vinyl floor. It's going to cost about $35,000 and do tile in the front where our first-time guests come in for the first time. We want to be a church of excellence. We want to do things with excellence. And we want, when people walk into our church, we want them to know we care about our church because we care about our God. So that's our first Sacrifice Sunday coming up on March 1st. The goal for that offering is $20,000. Now, if you're visiting with us for the first time, we do 2 Sacrifice Sundays typically a year to give us an opportunity to give towards moving the church forward. One of the reasons the church never moves forward is there's never a clear plan to fix stuff up. That's why you walk in a lot of times to a church that's never changed in 80 years. That and curmudgeons, but we don't have any of those here. That's why churches don't move forward, is they don't plan to move forward. They don't plan to keep things maintenance. They don't plan those, and we want to plan those things. That's the first Sacrifice Sunday of the year, is new flooring in those areas. It's a huge project. The second Sacrifice Sunday is going to come on October 4th, and we want you to prepare for that. In fact, you are getting a folder. I'm going to talk through this. You're getting a folder right after the service where you have 2 Sacrifice Sunday offering envelopes. You have your yellow one that is for the March 1st offering, and then you have your blue one, which is for the October 4th offering. The October 4th, I believe the most important thing about a church is the auditorium when you walk in, your lobby areas, and your nursery. Your nursery is extremely important. And our nursery, although it's nice and although it's a good size, it needs to be completely remodeled. If you've walked in there, you notice it doesn't just have popcorn ceilings, but it's got popcorn ceiling. I mean, those ceilings pop at you. Those are the most popcorn ceilings I've ever seen in my life. So we want to skim that off of there. We want to put some new lighting in there. Of course, there's already going to be new flooring in there. We want to do board and batten on the walls, very similar to what we did at Tabernacle Baptist. If you guys remember how nice that nursery looked, we're going for that same look. And we want to replace almost all of the furniture. And we want to put a nice granite or quartz countertop right when you walk in there instead of that laminate one that's there now, because we want, when a parent drops off their kid, we want them not only to see a smiling face, but a nursery that doesn't look like a dungeon. Okay? And as God continues to add babies, I think it's really important that we key in on families and making sure that we're bringing young families into the church, because without that, the church will eventually die off if we're not bringing in and seeing families saved. And families coming in and being able to trust that nursery is such an important aspect to that. Now, moving on, and probably what you're most excited about, by the way, the goal for that remodel is $15,000. You can go to the next slide there, Brother Aaron. These are some a la carte upgrades. I've always heard stories. I've never actually seen it happen like this. I've always heard stories about how a pastor mentioned a need, and then a church member walked up to the pastor and said, "Hey, I'll just do that." So here's some things we're throwing out there. And if you say, hey, I just want to do that. And maybe we have some quadrillionaires in the auditorium, I don't know. But there's some small things and some big things up here, and I can't see it, so I'm going to walk over here. One of them is we'd like to replace the flooring on the stage. None of this is planned for this year. These are all extra projects. If you'll notice, a lot of our transition slips, in fact, if I wanted to, I could pull this whole step up and make it talk to you because it was never installed correctly. So we want to replace all of this on the stage with hardwood and do carpet tile on the floors. To do hardwood on the stage costs about $15,000 with rebuilding the steps so we can actually put chairs up here for bigger Sundays. And the auditorium flooring for carpet tile is going to be about $10,000. So about $25,000 to do new flooring in the entire auditorium. One thing that we've noticed is that our chairs are getting some wear on them. Although they're very comfortable chairs, we would eventually like to go with a different color and to use these in all of these chairs you're sitting in all of our classrooms. So new chairs, I thought I had it up here. New auditorium chairs, are going to cost about $24,000 for this same almost model, just new in a different color with some better pockets on the back. New lighting throughout the building, just doing can lighting instead of the ones that are burnt out through half of the building. It's going to cost about $12,000. I'm sorry, you can go back to that, Brother Aaron. And then the new LED sign that we want to put out by the road. We're not completely ready with our planning. You'll see this in a moment. You actually get to see what an LED sign would look like. Cost about $70,000. Can you believe that? But that's how much with permitting, out the door cost with the company doing everything with stone around it, and then about a 10-foot long by 6-foot tall LED sign. 20,000 cars pass by us every day. And that sign can become a place to promote Awana, promote the youth group, promote activities, Easter services, anything we have coming up. I'm sure it'll pay for itself within a couple of years, but that would be about $70,000. You're going to see in a moment a parking lot in front of our Family Life Center on some renderings that I'm going to show you. I'm estimating that parking lot with concrete curbing and asphalt is going to cost us around $90,000, and that a gymatorium renovation that we're about to show you what it could look like on the high end would cost about $300,000. We're excited about future expansion and what God is going to do. I have not talked to a church member yet that isn't excited and can sense that God is doing something and growing us out of this room. From the moment we moved in here, we had to add a bunch of chairs, and we've added just about every chair to where it's still comfortable and we can still actually move around this room that we can. This morning, we're running close to 140. Last Sunday, we were running 170, so there's usually a lot more people in here. Our highest service has been 190 people, but when we're running 170 people, we're at 60% capacity of the floor of this room. And at that metric, that is a key metric that you need to start planning and preparing for future growth. Because once you reach 75 to 80%, and some people say after COVID, 65 to 70%, you just stop growing. I did not believe that was true until I saw it happen. My wife and I were a part of Faith Baptist Church for a while, and we were there in their old building for about 3.5 years. In their old building, they ran about 300 to 350 people. It never got above that because that was about 80% of their building occupancy, and they were going through a building project. We built an auditorium that holds about 600 or 700, and immediately the church grew once we moved into that building about 200 people. Just like that. COVID helped, but I know we're one of the only churches that COVID actually helped, but immediately the church absolutely exploded because people thought there's still room for my family to get in there. If a family comes in with 6 people and there's no place for them to sit, they're probably not going to come back. You could say, well, they're not spiritually minded. We want to meet them where they are, give them a seat, and we want to make sure. If you think about 50% occupancy, that's you with an empty seat beside you. You understand that, right? What do you usually put in the seat beside you? If you look in the seat beside you, you've probably got stuff in the seat beside you, okay? So 50% occupancy even is what we're probably running around this morning is still an auditorium where most of the seating is being used. So I'm going to show you a couple things. The first thing I want to show you is what an auditorium on the interior could look like in the Family Life Center. This is a very pared down version of what an auditorium in the gym could look like. This is pared down because really it's only 3 line array systems. It's only the speaker system, some basic lighting, a large LED screen, and a stage with choir risers. We're never getting rid of our choir. Don't worry about this being some opportunity for us to become a big box church. It's not that. This is an opportunity to provide for God to grow His church. And then we have a little video next, just kind of panning around this space so you can get an idea for the space. The stage is way too big, and just to be honest, this was created with AI. We fed it some information. The next renderings were not made with AI, but that's the future expansion there. We could easily fit 450, 500 seats in that gym, and I believe at one point there was almost 1,000 people in that gym for an activity with seating when the church that was meeting over there had a special event. There's a lot of space in that room that could be used. This is without adding carpet on the floor. This would cost much less than $300,000. What you're seeing there would cost less than $150,000 to get in the gymnasium over there and make it look like that and make it fully functional as a space. And we could do that now, but we want to follow the Lord and follow His will. Next, you will see something, because as we continue to grow, the need for parking is going to become apparent, and we want the other building to look like a church as well. This is a real rendering of what the outside of the Family Life Center could look like from the street. You'll notice that there's a steeple on that building. You'll also notice that that steeple looks eerily familiar to the steeple that's on this building. I've been thinking and praying recently that it might be a good idea, if this becomes a chapel in the future that is only met in for Sunday night and Wednesday night, that we could take the steeple that's on this building, refabricate it, and put it on the other building. You say refabrication's expensive. So are steeples. Steeples are oddly expensive. You wouldn't think it, but to get a 25-foot steeple, which is around what that steeple is, I believe, a 22-foot, a 25-foot, maybe even a 30-foot steeple, would cost tens and tens of thousands of dollars. And refabrication of our current steeple and redoing some roofing would not be anywhere near that. So if we ended up moving over there, what we could do is take our current steeple, move it over there for lowered cost. We could add an overhang. You can go to the next slide there, just some outsides of this. And we're going to post this on social media just so you can get an idea. Just know that these aren't professional renderings from an actual builder. These are ideas that we would give an architect and say, build off of these ideas. You can go to the next one there. This is adding some parking to the front. Again, we think that's going to cost around $90,000 to do some curbing and some more parking out front. And again, these aren't perfect renderings. You can go to the last one there. I think the next one's going to be the last one. And there's what the Family Life Center could look like if we were meeting in there. And with the added parking, we can easily run 400 people with the parking that we currently have, plus this added parking. Honestly, you could run 400 people with our current parking if we'd stop driving separately, husbands and wives. But everyone's driving separately to church. You can go to the next slide there. We want to give you an idea because we want to believe that God is able to do these things. And some churches sit on their hands for years and they grow and they grow and they grow, and it stops growing because nothing's moving forward. I never want to be a leader that's not moving forward with the gospel, because God requires we have a big vision for His kingdom. I don't think it makes any sense. And some people visit our church sometimes and they say, I just love how small your church is. I don't think it makes any sense to be proud of how small a church is, especially in an area with 8 million people. There's souls all around us that need to be reached with the gospel. And may I tell you, church, may I tell you bluntly, it is more important than your comfort, if you like this auditorium more, than the idea of a gymatorium. It is more important than our comfort. It's more important than our preference. It's more important than anything, because souls matter to God and they should matter to us. This morning's sermon is not about a building. It's about believing that God is able for every circumstance of our life.